Now, I first met this man because you probably don't know anything about me. I am also a Hay House author. It sounds like a bit of a club now, doesn't it? The Hay House Author Club. And I was doing an interview for the Hay House World Summit, and I was asked to do that because I used to be a radio presenter on LBC and I pundit now for the BBC. So I'm very good at interviewing people, although you might not have noticed. So I met Karl because I had to interview him for the Hay House World Summit. Now, I have to be absolutely blunt with you. Lots of people end up finding Matrix and EFT through some kind of trauma, perhaps. Maybe this kind of like resonates with you. Well, I got it through being completely inspired by that interview, I have to say. And that was the thing that actually made me go on and train in it, because I have to say, I am one of the most sceptical people on earth. Having worked with in this kind of self-development world for quite a long time, and having had a radio show interviewing practitioners of all sorts of different fields, I have never been so impressed as I am with Matrix Reimprinting. So I think you all know who he is, so I don't really need to give much of an introduction. Welcome to the stage, Karl.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Well, lovely to see you all. Many of you trained over the years. And one lady said it was 2007 she trained. Who was that? So, yeah, it's just lovely to see everybody back, and then a few new people. Success to know, we got to 167 on Amazon, which is amazing. Me and Sasha remember when we first thought we was all there, we got to 300, I think, didn't we? Yeah. So, and you imagine as you start getting up to into the top 200, you find it's like some of the biggest books, in the world, like the Harry Potters and the Shades of Grey. So you've an alternative. So to get that high was absolutely excellent. So thanks to everybody that's bought it, been part of the book. Thinking about today, we also got to #1 in complementary therapies, which was also quite achieving. So yes, it was how do I pitch this? Because I've got people that's just trained me in recent months, so they've heard kind of or part of the latest of the Matrix, but I've also got people that are brand new to Matrix. Now a few of you who's not trained in Matrix here, so see now a few. And then I've got people that are trained in Matrix who are right at the beginning. So what I've decided to do is just give you a little brief snapshot. I'm not going to talk too long on the theory. I don't see the point in that. Then I'll see, where are you? There's volunteered to come up and I'm going to demo Lexi. What I'm trying to do with Lexi is actually distill probably what would be 3 to 6 months work into 30 minutes. So it really is just going to be a little snapshot of some various matrix techniques that we're going to use. Okay, so that's the plan. So, when you do these demos into a big audience, you just never know how it's going to go, but I just trust, things will be okay. I want to talk a little bit about the one belief. And this is my latest obsession. And this emerged from just a few long-term, people I know for a long time, that I began to see that eventually everything is distilled down into one very specific belief. And after 2002, so it's like 11 years of EFT and Matrix, it was only last year in Mallorca, having a few beers with my best buddy here, that we both actually found out what our own one beliefs were. And it's a profound moment, because once you find what that is, that very specific belief, you see how everything in your life is connected to it. Everything that you've created, the major events in your life, and the things that shape the direction of your life, all really go back to one very specific belief. And actually, I know there's a few people in the room that has actually got there. I remember Susie in the back there phoning me, it was only about 2 months ago, and saying, yeah, we doubted what you said, but you found it. You found your belief. And it's true, isn't it? Once you find it, you see it's everywhere in your life. We're often oblivious to this one belief. It does shape everything you do. Who has actually found it? The belief. So, see, not many, comparatively. Okay. So this is a little bit of work from the book. This is a metaphor I had. A house I used to live in had a bamboo tree in the garden. And what amazed me was how these very powerful shoots would suddenly pop up a long way from the tree itself. I thought, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, how does that suddenly pop up? Obviously there's some of the ground root system, but that tree wasn't so big, but these would pop up 20 or 30 feet from the tree. So the way I see it is, you have the belief, this is the metaphor, and from that belief, it affects so many areas in your life. So I just randomly last night picked a belief, I'm not as good as other people. And to me, this is actually a very global belief. And what you find is these one beliefs are very, very specific. So we will identify a few. If we have the speaker, if we go around to the people in a little while, Becky, we can see how exact these beliefs are. But from that belief, the little shoots are like, from I'm not good enough, we can end up with pain. We can end up with other sub-beliefs from this major belief. It affects our confidence, the work we do, how we achieve and perform our work, and our relationships, how we act within relationships and friendships. So from that one belief, it affects a huge amount of areas of our lives. And is she here today? No, she's not. No, you don't have to look around and think, is it you? Is it you? We have, it's a full chapter in the book called The Journey of One Belief, Diana's Story. And this was one of the, over the years with Matrix, I've had learning experiences, and that's how it's kind of progressed, one learning experience at a time, when you just have a realisation that's quite profound. And then from that, it takes the work a bit further, and then something else happens and it takes it further. So some of you that have not seen Matrix for quite a few years, when you read the new book, you'll see that there's dramatic changes. I equate it to, with me personally, because I train at least once a month, every month, I've done for 10 years, that it's like spending time with a child. You don't see the changes, do you? On a day-to-day basis. But for some of you, when you come back after 6 months or a year or 2 years, it's actually quite dramatically different than what you see. The baby's different. You see a big change in the baby. So some of you will see a big change in the Matrix work from the first book that Sasha did such an amazing job writing. So, Diana, friend of the family, a few years she came to see me, and she said, I'm in trouble. She worked as a PA for a big company, and she was with through the year and always struggled because of her issue. But then, close to Christmas, November, December, she got a promotion to the PA for the top dog of the company. And because she was running on adrenaline anyway, she kind of accepted, took the job on, but then she stopped for Christmas. Came out of that adrenaline rush. I was just in a state saying, I can't go back. I cannot do this job. Now, I've known this girl for a long time, and I thought it was confidence issues. I said, is it that old confidence stuff again? I said, no, it's just like this constant, big, heavy green ball in my stomach. It's just there all the time, just constantly anxious. So, the great thing about this work, we can jump to conclusions, but it's all about the client, what they feel, what they think. So we tune into this feeling in the stomach, and this is one of the techniques I'll show with a couple of others today, and we call it following the energy. And it went back to a memory, and all you can see is a dark room. It's okay, step into that room. What do you see? Nothing, it's dark. Okay, let's turn the light on. So as you turn the light on, it's I see why it's dark now. It's night. She sees that younger self, her echo, who's 6 years old, and she's sat up in bed, sniffling, and really unhappy. So she says, what's wrong? Bear in mind that Diana did not know what this event was about initially. She steps in, and speaking to her, tomorrow I've got to go and see Grandma down in the pool. And Grandma doesn't love me. So I really don't want to go. So why do you feel that? So, well, she just never shows me emotion. So one of the things we can do, one of the nuances with Matrix, is in this place where trauma is held, we see it as like the same places where the soul, spirit of the people is. So we brought Grandma into the memory, who had actually been dead for quite a while. And she said to Grandma, "Why don't you love me?" And Grandma said, "I do love you very much, but when I was a little girl, my mummy died, and if I just showed a lot of emotion, Dad would get really upset with me. So I just never know how to show emotion." So that was a big revelation in itself for her. So from that memory, we said, where do we go next? This is another matrix technique, many of you know, called echo to echo. We asked that echo, where's the place to go next? We took her to a memory, and initially she smiles, it's a really happy memory. I'm playing in the garden with her brother and sister. I'm really young, I'm about 2 or 3 years old. And she's looking at it, and all of a sudden, she starts crying. She said, I know what happens. I walk in front of the swing, and the swing hits me in the head. So, from that, a belief starts to emerge. And what's the belief? Anybody spot it? I mean, some of you have heard the story, probably quite a few of you. But she starts to develop a belief here. And the belief actually is about feeling responsible. So that's where she gets to in the first place. I'm responsible. Going down to pool, I'm going to let the family down. Because, Grandma doesn't love me, so I'm just going to know that and let Mum down. Getting her brother and sister in trouble because she wanted them to swing. That's what happened that day. They got in trouble. So it wasn't even so much about the pain and the accident, it was she let them down. So from that, we started with a lot of other memories, echo to echo. And there'd be things like at school. She was very sporty at school. She was in the relay team. What would happen every time it came to pass on the baton, and they were like the top team, like county level, when they was passing the baton, she'd drop it or they'd miss time it or they just wouldn't connect. It happened a lot, so eventually she dropped out of the team, even though she was the fastest runner. See that belief emerging? Yeah. In recent years, probably 10 years ago, she worked in my branch of NatWest Bank. And when she first joined it, she really loved the team. It was a really friendly, happy team. Everybody really got on well. Then one particular day, after a few weeks, the books didn't balance. So apparently in a bank, everybody has to stay behind to figure out where the missing money is. And the missing money was down to Diana. She'd made a mistake. So now it's, oh shit. Worried about it. It's going to happen again. So of course she thinks about it. Once you have these beliefs, you spend your whole life creating similar events, attracting similar events, looking for proof of the beliefs over and over again. And again, we're totally oblivious of this most of the time, what we're doing, aren't we? But we keep doing it and doing it. So after a while, she's going to work every day completely anxious. I'm going to mess up, I'm going to mess up. So it happens more and more, so guess what happens? She ends up leaving the bank. So it gets more precise, the belief. And that's the thing, these beliefs are very precise. The belief becomes, when things are going well, I'll screw it up for everybody. That becomes the exact belief. When things are going well, I'll screw it up for everybody. We're on holiday, she'll screw it up. Playing in the garden, she'll screw it up. Working in the bank, she'll screw it up. In the sports field. Again, a decade or so ago, she got pregnant. The family's also happy. She already had one child. Her husband's really happy. And then midway through the pregnancy, she actually loses the baby. The baby dies inside her. She had to carry the baby for a week. Traumatic enough, but when she was 16, she'd had an abortion. So in her mind, it was, this has happened because I had the abortion. So again, things are going well, I'll screw it for everybody. And what was fascinating, and there's just event after event. I mean, she actually had, I didn't do all the work, I did 1 or 2 sessions with her. She did about 25 sessions. This is big stuff, it controls your whole life. These are just a few of the memories. It went back, she got back to the day she was born, and where it all started. She was born on Christmas Eve. That's where it started. You see it? It was all about her. So her brother and sister were so excited because it's Christmas, but then all the Christmas, everything just got put on one side because it was her birth. So even at 1 year old, the day she was born, she's picking up and creating that belief that when things are going well, I'll screw it for everybody. And with Sharon's work, And shall we say, oh, this goes back even further, or it could be in the womb even, go back further still. So that's what we're looking at.